Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Expert Division with the tournament win here for the Winter Major Tournament in Golf Clash the game. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Make sure you do hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications and follow the info box on the right hand side to get the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, and also what club and ball type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are suggestions. You do not have to follow them, but there is always a plan behind it. Get the ultimate tournament guides, the best guides on the market, by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy, link directly in the description down below. Let's go to hole number 1. Here we want to start by using the driver with the most power possible. Apocalypse 5 Plus is definitely what I do want you to have, but if you don't have it, you're obviously gonna have to tweak based on what power you have. Starting with 6 bars of topspin, 2 bars of side spin to the left, making sure that the ball guideline is basically having the second bounce halfway into the rough. Adjust max plus 15, and then I will push up, you can see here that I will push up 1.5 ring, which will equal in this case 6 yards. So you shall push up 6 yards on your Apocalypse there. So from plus 19 to plus 25, let's say that you end up at plus 21, you should in that case be at plus 27. Half a ball of curl to the left, and then we see that ball come nicely to the green. I've been having dead bounces, still getting out from the rough with great left and also with perfect. So this one is a very solid option to get the eagle safely on hole number 1. So I was lucky and had a pleasure to lend a video from Mr. Ben Kennedy, BK Golf Clash here on YouTube. Make sure you do subscribe to his channel, and we're gonna start just before plus 1 yard mark, or plus 0 yard mark, whatever we want to call it. So before plus yardage, 3.5 bar topspin, 2 bars of side spin to the right. So sorry, 3 bars of side spin to the right, and in that case 3.5 bar topspin. Blue ring by the rough line. We shall adjust medium distance plus 20, power 3 ball settings. We adjust, and then it's time to apply curl, and you will see here that we will use the right side of the ball to be approximately, what can we say, just a smidge outside the ring to the right. Bouncing nicely on the fairway, gets up the hill, and now it takes the roll that we do like to see. And we do enjoy when, the camera isn't really that zoomed in. And we see this one get right at pin for a beautiful hole-in-one. And speed-wise, it was beautiful as well. So, a very, this hole is often very easy to replicate a good adjustment. So, I do feel very good about this. Medium distance plus 20. Kingmaker ball. We have the quarterback. And we start just before plus yardage starts with the blue ring to the rough on the left on hole number 2. For hole number 3, I'm starting with the rock. I'm using 4 bars of topspin and max side spin to the right. The reason I'm only using 4 bars is to show you that it is possibility to play with the rock level 7 without any big modifications. Red ring by the rough line to the right, and we adjust maximum distance plus 20. If you do play with the rock level 7, I would recommend to push up 1.5 ring after your adjustment to compensate for the less power you do have on level 7 compared to level 8 and level 9. A little bit of curl to the right, and we bounce nicely on the fairway, and now we are only looking to position ourselves on the fairway like that. We don't want to roll too far, because then that tree that you see there on the top will be in your face. Second shot, we do have the sniper here. Obviously, I would recommend you to use the sniper in, whatever level basically, but as minimum level 8 in my opinion, just to prevent us from having to push up or go with overpower. This is a very difficult shot to play, and the thing that I do is going half a bar of backspin, max side spin to the right, having the second bounce to be just where it clips away by the rough. But looking at the result, obviously, I start too much to the right. Yeah, that's a no-brainer when you're looking at the result. But the thing that we can learn from this is move more left then you will have a better chance. But it will at least become a very safe eagle here for this one, and speed is perfect. So move like a ring or two more left and apply the same type of structure as already explained with the second bounce, because that is the trick to get the correct speed. We have tailwind, we will have an extended ball guideline, very important then to leave the ball guideline short to let the wind do the rest. But I have another drive to show you. I felt a little bit frisky and I went for an aggressive option here as well. You use, I'm gonna talk it through with you, but in the end though, you decide if you're gonna go for it, because it is risky, but it could potentially be a lucky bounce here and there, put yourself in a good shot for an albatross. Okay, so time to go for a full blast shot here. I would like to have at least 12 miles per hour wind, max topspin, 3 bars of side spin to the right. And here, if you do play with Apocalypse level 7 or level 8, you have a massive advantage compared to having a lower level type of driver. I would not try to play this shot if I do have an Apocalypse that is less than Apocalypse level 5. Now I explain why in the end of the video. Adjust max plus 20, push up to max, and then we will apply rings for a power slide. 5, 10, 15, 20, around 25 rings out to the left. Please measure if you are uncertain about that. I don't use any grids. Now try to go full overpower, full right curl, and then release for a power slice. You see that we bounce with margin from rough, and then we get up on the other fairway, and unfortunately we don't have the speed enough to roll down, but an Apocalypse level 7 or level 8 would have had the speed to roll down. And even though we get stuck in the rough, that shot from the rough is going to be easier to drop than if we would be playing with the sniper in the conservative option. Why don't I suggest this one with a driver like Apocalypse 4 or below? It's because, first and foremost, we will have a little bit less curl. Second of all, we will not have the power enough with a lower type of wind, and we will risk clip the rough and go into the sand directly, and that could be a potential, or like that, a risk that we do miss the eagle in the long run. But it is an interesting play here, in my opinion, where you can take a little gamble, get yourself fairly close to green, and then judge and play with your skill when it comes from the rough or with the wedge, which it will be if you do roll out from the rough, but that will be with a pretty decent wind towards the pin. Anyway, so I want to show you this as well as an extra alternative here for those of you playing with big boy clubs in expert. Hole number 4, we have got a tricky wind, and I would go into more about that after we have taken the shot. 3 bars of backspin, 3 bars of side spin to the left. You will notice that I didn't start with 3 bars of backspin because I will change for that now a little bit later in the video. So now we change to 3 bars of backspin, 3 bars of left spin, ball guideline pointing towards the hole, not left, not right, towards the hole. Half of the red ring outside on the fairway, but my main focus is the ball guideline in this scenario. I'm using flicker 1201 in terms of pull angle, and I will be adjusting 7.4 rings. 7.4 rings is a little bit more, it's 1 decimal more than minimum distance plus 15. And I would like us to play with minimum distance plus 15 as our adjustment here. Ball comes in nicely and we barely miss on the right hand side, so we need to change the adjustment a little bit to play minimum distance plus 15 power 3 ball settings. And the reason I think this wind is difficult is because when we do adjust, we will adjust up on a mound. So if we do have a little bit more tailwind or a little bit more headwind, that will impact the shot. And somewhat I'm happy that we get this wind in qualifying round and not the weekend round, because there is other winds that is miles better to play with. But this is an option, a good option for hole number 4. For hole number 5, we do have some headwind, and here I start at plus 10 yard mark using 5 bars of topspin and 2 bars of side spin to the right. I'm using the driver that gives me the most power, and in my case that is Apocalypse level 6, which gives me 240 yards of power. Max plus 10, and you will notice that we do adjust into overpower, and here I want you to use the amount of overpower you adjust into. So I adjust 1.5 ring into overpower, then I use 1.5 ring of overpower. If you play with an Apocalypse level 4, you have 6 yards less of power, then you start at absolute max, then you apply the same type of structure as you do add as much overpower that you adjust into, which will most likely be very close to max overpower. Second shot, we're gonna play with our sniper, and from 358 yards, we will be playing this one 45% slider, which is 6.4 rings. Have that in mind. Half a bar of backspin. We're gonna use the top of the yellow ring by the edge of the rough with the ball guideline going right side of pin. Now, when we are adjusting, we adjust for 6.4 rings, but we're also using an 1159. The reason I'm using an 1159 is because I do make an adjustment that will make my ball have a bounce further back. The first bounce will be further back, and to compensate for that, we need, or like to compensate for the fact that we do get that, so we can get a bounce further up, we use 1159. Speed is perfect. We do over adjust just slightly, so I would recommend you to use 38% slider instead, which is going to be 6.3 rings for this adjustment. So 38% slider from 358 yards. That's going to be the trick for hole 5. Okay, so for hole number 6, we're gonna have a very difficult win. Not so much to get the birdie, but to get ourselves a chance for an eagle. So I'm gonna use my opponent's drive here by going max topspin with Apocalypse level 7 and 2 bars of side spin to the left. Here we can obviously modify this one by going with less side spin by using a werewolf ball if you want to, but we shall still keep us using max topspin. You can see that it barely reaches over the rough there and gets itself down nicely on the fairway. This is the ultimate scenario, but not everyone is having Apocalypse level 7, right? And that is the same for me. So I've been testing with Apocalypse level 5, level 6, and I've been clipping the rough using a power 5 wind 3 ball, because I don't have the ball that my opponent is playing with, and I still get myself out to a nice position. I'm gonna show you that as the last shot, but we're gonna still take a look at my opponent still first. I suggest the Grizzly in the info box. You can obviously use the B52 if you're lucky enough to have it in level 7+. Otherwise, the Grizzly to have the ball guideline and let the ball guideline go through the hole, very important. And adjust here, it shall be somewhere between medium and maximum distance of your club. And you will see here in the end that my opponent does have some left curl on his shot here, which is a big reason why this shot is going to miss to the left of the pin, because it does fall down more left. With a perfect ball, with a centered ball more importantly, that would have been very, very close in my opinion to get that shot to drop. But again, let's take a look what happens if you do play and clip the rough and get short. Then we do have the possibility to play with the sniper, and I'm using max backspin, 1 bar side spin to the right, and you can see that I can get the ball guideline through the hole. But here I do make a mistake here, and that is to not think about the compressed ball guideline here. So here we shall in that case go with a little bit less backspin, let the ball guideline be longer, and therefore looks like we're gonna miss pretty hefty, but we're not gonna do that. Add a little bit of overpower in the end, and that is to just help out with the compressed ball guideline as well. We bounce nicely on the fairway as we wanted to, but again we have too much backspin and fall down. So that is a safety net to have if you fall short. But I will have to say this, if you don't feel comfortable with the drive and situation and the play suggested here, you can play out to the right and just play the normal way as we do in tour play of the green point with this type of wind, and that is to just double bounce over the rough or the sand by the green, or just go with a guardian with a lot of backspin. But my thought process on this is, if we're gonna do that, the birdie, sure, we're gonna get the birdie, but you know, I would say it's close to 0 in terms of how many eagles we are going to get. If we're going to have a look at the eagle every single time, then we can go left and play the aggressive drive here. But again, it's up to you to decide what you want to do. I wanted to at least find the opportunity to provide you with a chance for an eagle, which I once again don't feel we get if we play out to the right with a more conservative approach. For hole number 7, I want you to start with a basic ball. So we start with a basic ball, finding blue ring to the left by the rough line in complete max distance. Once that is done, we then change to a kingmaker, playing 2.2 backspin and 2 bars of side spin to the right. We're gonna make a minor little tweak to that, and I will explain that once we have taken this shot. Medium distance with a 20% over adjustment, power 3 ball settings, which will give me 9.7 rings. And have in mind that this is, I think 9.2 is the highest win we can have in expert, which will not make us go in between clubs with the quarterback. Perfect ball, we're not looking to use any curl whatsoever. We rely on the slope to kick us down to the right. Rolls nicely, comes up the hill, perfect speed, but we just barely missed that one to the right hand side. So, what shall we do here? Should we add or subtract adjustment? No, I like how the ball comes in. We shall, in that case, remove backspin, because then we will have a longer first bounce. We will roll a little bit longer up the hill and before we fall down. So 2 bars of backspin, 2 bars of side spin to the right, keep the rest the same. And the reason I choose the left side is due to the wind coming left to right, because the trees will be in play, playing on the right hand side, even though I enjoy right side way more than the left side as a general play on hole number 7. So for hole 8, you will see 2 type of approaches here. One, we're gonna take a look at our opponent, because I feel there's no reason reinvent the wheel, in my opinion. So this play is a normal double bounce onto the green, which will have different outcomes, obviously. But we'll take a look here. 6 bars of topspin, and in the case, a little bit of side spin to the right, approximately half a bar to the right. Looking at the second bounce to be basically in that little triangle or way of rough there. You can see if you pause and rewind, you will be able to see that. Adjust medium distance plus 15 power 3 ball settings, and then try to obviously hit perfect. The perfect ball will be better than a great ball, because a great ball will take it more left, and that will be a bigger chance for a glitch roll. But you can see that even with a great left, it still stays before the rough. And that is the thing with this type of shot. You can get a glitch roll, you can get down, dead bounces and be short for a wedge, or you can be on the green with a nice roll. So, something to really just have in mind. So, we're gonna take a look at another option, which was the way that I played, which I must say that I really enjoyed, and I didn't expect that to be a possibility. So we're gonna change a little bit here, and we're gonna give ourselves max plus 10 as elevation. And we're gonna play this one not with a kingmaker. We're gonna play this one with a centurion, and I would recommend to play with a wind 4 ball if you have wind above 8 miles per hour, and obviously power 3. So let's take a look. We're gonna change from that shot obviously, and we're gonna go to this one instead. So there we go. And you can see here now that I'm gonna play on the left hand side, and I'm gonna play with max side spin. I'm gonna play with all but 1 bar of backspin. You can reduce the backspin here, but I do think there is value to play with at least all but 1 bar of backspin. It will then be applied to clubs like Apocalypse 6 Plus, and that is the club that I want us to have in mind, that this is the play with Apocalypse 6 Plus, not with anything below. Half of the red ring at the bottom there inside the rough at plus 11. Adjust max plus 10, and you will see here that I'm using max overpower, and I will also be applying curl to the right. I'm using 1.5 ball of curl to the right. Looking at the result here, I do hit a great left, and I will get pretty dangerously close to the rough line there. Not that close, but kind of close at least. So maybe would be good if you are a great lefty to add a little bit more curl to that shot to make sure that you're not going to go into the rough on the left. But the thing that happened there is that I take a safe route by using a more aggressive drive and to put ourselves up for a very simple eagle wedge towards the pin. Obviously you can modify that a little bit based on how aggressive you do want to be, but I do think there is great value in playing this type of shot. And for those that maybe already have been thinking this out, you can use a power 4, power 5 ball and go with less overpower, but I do think once again side spin 3 is very, very beneficial. For hole number 8. Before we go into hole number 9, you will see my opponent's shot, not my own, because I was focused about finding some type of aggressive approach that could put us into a good chance for an albatross. Unfortunately, with the glitchy fairways and all the trees, I couldn't find any, spending too many accounts, I may say. So we take a look at our opponent's safe shot, and it's a layup shot on the left. Just get ourselves the eagle. So start with the driver of your choosing. I would say that the rock here would be the best possible club for a layup, but you can use basically whatever driver you may want. And it is tailwind, as you can see, but the problem is though that there are so many glitchy spots, as already said, that it is very difficult to get ourselves into an aggressive way where we do find ourselves getting over the water on the right, or in that case getting through everything when it comes to over the trees and stuff like that. Side spin to the right and a little bit of backspin. Make sure that you do use less backspin if you're using the rock, as you will have less power and therefore start further back. Plan is here to go with a max +10 adjustment, ball bouncing up towards the fairway there on the left. So a very simple drive. You have a lot of room for error, so if you are a little bit off with your adjustment, that's no biggie, honestly, because you will still have, you know, no problem reaching here. Now sniper, our opponent's trying to go for the top right corner, which is what I think is the right thing to do here. But the problem with going for the top right corner is that if you over adjust and not compensate with curl, then you will stay on the fairway. It will still be a super simple eagle wedge, as you can then roll it down the hill towards the pin, but that is something to have in mind. Max no elevation is the adjustment for the second shot. I would here add a little bit of curl to get ourselves in a good way to at least get that ball to green. Now our opponent gets very close, but from here, once again, it's going to be super simple eagle wedge, having the ball rolled down the hill. So simple, conservative way to play hole 9, and to be completely honest, this is the qualifying round. If we would be having this wind in the weekend round, you know, we would have taken the risk of being into the water or getting stuck into the rough with an aggressive option, but I don't think it's time at the moment based on the result I've had. So then that is the reason why I go with a safe shot from my opponent. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this playthrough for Expert Division with the tournament win for the Winter Major in Golf Clash. The game video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. And make sure you do get our ultimate tournament guides on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Link directly in the description down below. Once again, thank you so much and good luck in your Golf Clash game.